Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video may contain explicit descriptions of drug use, violence, and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised as this content may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having fun. Hope the universe is treating you fairly. We are returning back to the world of Hunter S. Thompson and his book Kingdom of Fear. The last couple of videos he has hit on some points. I mean, he was writing in 2001, early 2002, that are still relevant to today. So, let's go ahead and hit the play button and continue on forward.
I have ridden with Sonny Barger and smoked weed in biker bars with Jack Nicholson, Grace Slick, and my infamous old friend Ken Kesey.
Now, those are some names. Those are some really, really good names. Nicholson, Grace Slick. I imagine he dropped some LSD and probably did some shrooms with Grace Slick at some point, but, you know, we may never know.
A legendary cafe racer. Some people will tell you that slow is good, and it may be on some days. But I am here to tell you that fast is better. I've always believed this in spite of the trouble it's caused me. Being shot out of a cannon will always be better than being squeezed out of a tube. That is why God made fast motorcycles, Bubba. So when I got back from the U.S. Open Polo Championship in New York and found a fiery red rocket-style bike in my garage, I realized I was back in the road testing business.
Hey, you know, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like I said, it's something that fascinates me. I don't have my equilibrium got screwed up when I was a kid. I had got an ear infection of some kind, and I didn't tell anyone. And by the time it got bad enough for me to tell somebody, it had turned into a strep infection and screwed up my equilibrium. So I imagine if that wouldn't have happened, I may have been into this whole fast motorcycle thing. I don't know. It's one of those what ifs.
The brand new Ducati 900 Campione del Mundo Desmodue Super Sport Double Barrel Magnum Cafe Racer filled me with feelings of lust every time I looked at it. Others felt the same way. My garage quickly became a magnet for drooling superbike groupies. They quarreled and bitched at each other about who would be first to help me evaluate my new toy. And I did, of course, need a certain spectrum of opinions besides my own to properly judge this motorcycle. The Woody Creek Perverse Environmental Testing Facility is a long way from Daytona or
the perverse testing facility, yeah. Cats. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I imagine stuff like that, especially in the Colorado mountains, would be awesome.
even top fuel challenge sprints on the Pacific Coast Highway, where teams of big-bore Kawasaki's and Yamahas are said to race head-on against each other in death-defying games of chicken at 100 miles an hour.
Now that would be something. I imagine that would get the heart pumping pretty well. And you got to be pretty ballsy to do something like that.
No. Not everybody who buys a high-dollar torque brute yearns to go out in a ball of fire on a public street in L.A. Some of us are decent people who want to stay out of the emergency room but still blast through neo-gridlock traffic in residential districts whenever we feel like it. For that, we need fine machinery, which we had no doubt about that. The Ducati people in New Jersey had opted for reasons of their own to send me the 900 SP for testing.
And the way he describes it is, it puts me in mind in the Harry Potter movies, the different types of brooms, like the Nimbus 2000, what have you, that just kind of motorcycle broom, you know, same basic profile, or, you know, one rider type thing. So yeah, I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it pops that imagery into my head.
Rather than their 916 crazy fast, state-of-the-art superbike track racer. It was far too fast, they said, and prohibitively expensive to farm out for testing to a gang of half-mad Colorado cowboys who think they're world-class cafe racers.
You know what? They're probably not wrong.
The Ducati 900 is a finely engineered machine. My neighbors called it beautiful and admired its racing lines. The nasty little bugger looked like it was going 90 miles an hour when it was standing still in my garage.
That's a badass bike, period.
Taking it on the road, though, was a genuinely terrifying experience. I had no sense of speed until I was going 90 and coming up fast on a bunch of pickup trucks going into a wet curve along the river. I went for both brakes, but only the front one worked, and I almost went end over end. I was out of control, staring at the tailpipe of a U.S. mail truck, still stabbing frantically at my rear brake pedal, which I just couldn't find. I am too tall for these new age road racers. They are not built for any rider taller than 5'9".
And I wonder how tall I think Thompson was close to 6 foot, but I could be wrong. I wonder how tall he actually was. I'd probably should have to look that up at some point.
And the rear set brake pedal was not where I thought it would be. Mid-size Italian pimps who like to race from one cafe to another on the boulevards of Rome in a flatline prone position might like this, but I do not. I was hunched over the tank like a person diving into a pool that got emptied yesterday. Wacko! Bashed on the concrete bottom, flesh ripped off, a sausage creature with no teeth, fucked up for the rest of its life. We all love torque.
Yeah, he's got a point. He got a very, very valid point.
And some of us have taken it straight over the high side from time to time. And there's always pain in that. But there is also fun, the deadly element. And fun is what you get when you screw this monster on. Boom! Instant takeoff. No screeching or squawking around like a fool with your teeth clamping down on your tongue and your mind completely empty of everything but fear.
Yep. It's fun if you live, and if you don't live, you don't know it's not fun.
No, this bugger digs right in and shoots you straight down the pipe for good or ill. On my first takeoff, I hit second gear and went through the speed limit on a 2-lane blacktop highway full of ranch traffic. By the time I went up to third, I was going 75 and the tach was barely above 4,000 RPM. And that's when it got its second win.
Your tachometer. The lower your tachometer is, the less work your engine's doing. And if your tach is low and you're going at a high speed, it means you got a really efficient, very good engine working for you.
4,000 to 6,000 in third will take you from 75 miles per hour to 95 in 2 seconds. And after that, Bubba, you still have 4th, 5th, and 6th. Ho-ho! I never got to 6th gear, and I didn't get deep into 5th. This is a shameful admission for a full-bore cafe racer, but let me tell you something, old sport. This motorcycle is simply too goddamn fast to ride at speed in any kind of normal road traffic unless you're ready to go straight down the center line with your nuts on fire and a silent scream in your throat.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, that is one of those instances. I've never done anything like that on a motorcycle, but I've had adventurous streaks, shall we call them, in which I did similar things, the same general experience that I lived through. So yeah, it's a feeling.
When aimed in the right direction at high speed, though, it has unnatural capabilities. This I unwittingly discovered as I made my approach to a sharp turn across some railroad tracks, and saw that I was going way too fast and that my only chance was to veer right and screw it on totally, in a desperate attempt to leapfrog the curve by going airborne. It was a bold and reckless move, but it was necessary. And it worked. I felt like Evel Knievel as I soared across the tracks with the rain in my eyes and my jaws clamped together in fear.
And the fact that it worked made it worth it.
I tried to spit down on the tracks as I passed them, but my mouth was too dry. I landed hard on the edge of the road and lost my grip for a moment as the Ducati began fishtailing crazily into oncoming traffic. For 2 or 3 seconds, I came face to face with the sausage creature. But somehow the brute straightened out. I passed a school bus on the right and then got the bike under control long enough to gear down and pull off into an abandoned gravel driveway.
Where I would have been digging shit out of my pants for days.
I stopped and turned off the engine. My hands had seized up like claws and the rest of my body was numb. I went into a trance for 30 or 40 seconds until I was finally able to light a cigarette and calm down enough to ride home. I was too hysterical to shift gears, so I went the whole way in first at 40 miles an hour. Whoops! What am I saying? Tall stories. Oh, we are motorcycle people. We walk tall and we laugh at whatever's funny. We shit on the chests of the weird. But when we ride very fast motorcycles, we ride with immaculate sanity. We might abuse a substance here and there, but only when it's right. The final measure of any rider's skill is the inverse ratio of his preferred traveling speed to the number of bad scars on his body. It is that simple. If you ride fast and crash, you are a bad rider.
And if you ride fast and you live, you're a good rider. At least you're not dead.
If you go slow and crash, you are a bad rider. And if you are a bad rider, you should not ride motorcycles. The emergence of the superbike has heightened this equation drastically. Motorcycle technology has made such a great leap forward. Take the Ducati. You want optimum cruising speed on this bugger? Try 90 miles per hour in fifth at 5,500 RPM. And just then, you see a bull moose in the middle of the road. Wacko! Meet the sausage creature. Or maybe not. The Ducati 900 is so...
If anything, you're going to meet God regardless. You hit a moose in a motor vehicle, a four-wheeled cage, you're going to see God. So I imagine it's on a motorcycle, you're going to see God even quicker.
So finely engineered and balanced and torqued that you can do 90 miles per hour in fifth through a 35 mile per hour zone and get away with it. The bike is not just fast, it is extremely quick and responsive and will do amazing things. It is a little like riding the original Vincent Black Shadow, which would outrun an F-86 jet fighter on the takeoff runway, but at the end, the F-86 would go airborne and the Vincent would not, and there was no point in trying to turn it. Whammo! The sausage creature strikes again.
Yeah, not a pretty thing to think about.
There's a fundamental difference, however, between the old Vincents and the new breed of superbikes. If you rode the Black Shadow at top speed for any length of time, you would almost certainly die. That is why there are not many life members of the Vincent Black Shadow Society. The Vincent was like a bullet that went straight. The Ducati is like the magic bullet in Dallas that went sideways and hit JFK and the governor of Texas at the same time. It was impossible, but so was my terrifying sideways leap across railroad tracks on the 900 SP. The bike did it easily with the grace of a fleeing tomcat. The landing was so easy I remember thinking, God damn it, if I'd screwed it on a little more I could have gone a lot further.
Yeah, that is probably the addiction of the whole adrenaline game. Or the problem with the addiction to adrenaline.
Maybe this is the new Cafe Racer Macho. My bike is so much faster than yours that I dare you to ride it, you lame little turd. Do you have the balls to ride this bottomless pit of torque? That is the attitude of the new age superbike freak, and I am one of them. On some days, they are about the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
At least, you know, he admits it.
Vincent just killed you a lot faster than a superbike will. A fool couldn't ride the Vincent Black Shadow more than once, but a fool can ride a Ducati 900 many times, and it will always be a blood-curdling kind of fun. That is the curse of speed which has plagued me all my life. I am a slave to it. On my tombstone they will carve, "It never got fast enough for me."
And
the
that
Lion and the Cadillac.
this is an interesting bit, if I remember. If it's the one with Clarence Thomas, because he has a story in here with him and Clarence Thomas that's interesting. And if this is it, this is going to be really weird.
Fear? I know not fear. They're only moments of confusion. Some of them are deeply stamped on my memory, and a few will haunt me forever. One of my ugliest and most confused moments, I think, was when I was driving a junk Cadillac down the coast highway to Big Sur, and a large mountain lion jumped into the moving car. I'd stopped for a moment beside the road to put out a newspaper fire in the back seat.
Okay, this may not be the one I'm thinking about, but this is an amusing story.
When this huge cat either jumped or fell off a cliff and landed on its back in the gravel right beside me. I was leaning over the side and pouring beer on the fire when it happened. It was late in the day and I was alone. When the beast hit the ground, I had a moment of total confusion, and so did the lion. Then I jumped back in the car and took off down the hill in low gear, thinking to escape certain death or at least mutilation. The beast had tried to pounce on me from above, but missed. And now, as I shifted the junker into second, I heard a terrible snarling and realized that the cat was running right behind me and
gaining ground.
I was, in fact, terrified at that moment. And I think I must have gone temporarily insane when the goddamn thing came up beside me and jumped right into the car through the passenger side window like a bomb. It bounced against the dashboard and somehow turned the radio volume all the way up. Then, it clawed me badly on my arm and one leg. That is why I shudder every time I hear a Chuck Berry tune.
I mean, it's not funny, but it's hilarious type thing, yeah.
I can still smell the beast. I heard myself screaming as I tried to steer. There was blood all over the seat. The music was deafening and the cat was still snarling and clawing at me. Then it scrambled over the seat and into the back, right into the pile of still-burning newspapers. I heard a screech of pain and saw the cat trying to hurl itself through the back window. We were still rolling along at about 30 miles per hour when I noticed my ball-peen hammer sticking out of the mangled glove compartment. I grabbed the hammer with my right hand, steering with my left, and swung it wildly over my shoulder at the mountain lion. Whack! I felt it hit something that felt vaguely like a carton of eggs, and then there was silence. No resistance in the back seat. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember how this goes. Let's see how this finishes.
I hit the brakes and pulled over. My hand was still on the hammer when I looked back and saw that I'd somehow hit the animal squarely on top of its head and driven the iron ball right through its skull and into its brain. It was dead, hunched on its back and filling the whole rear of the car, which was filling up with blood.
Don't tell RFK Jr. about this.
I was no longer confused. Kerlinks and the War Minister's son.
We'll go ahead and call this video good. We're at the end of one little story, and we got getting ready to start another one. So, like I said, we'll wrap this video up here. And remember, to be a good person, be a good human, be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?